Right, so I am here to do my, what is now monthly tradition of wrapping up everything that I watched, everything that I read, everything that I played in a given month. So this month, obviously being March, I I watched and read quite a bit. So I'm just going to jump into it. This is probably going to be a much longer video than even I'm used to doing, just because of the sheer quantity of stuff that I did consume this month. I want to start off with the games that I played this month. Only really one that can really stick out, and that's Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I didn't finish it, and I probably won't because I encountered a bug that apparently is not uncommon. From what I understand, some force abilities just weren't working for me, to the point where it wasn't registering the L1 button at all. The L1 button works perfectly for every other game that I've played, but for some reason that one specific thing that I was trying to do in the game just wasn't working, which is a shame because I was enjoying the game up until that point. I really liked the first one that I played a couple years ago now, and I was really looking forward to, and I was enjoying Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I was really getting into it, and unfortunately, bugs, man, sometimes they just break your game, and I might go back to it in a couple months I might get back to it once I've finished some other games, to, see if it's to see if giving it some time, it kind of either gets patched out or, things, sometimes you can have a game and something not work for you, and then you go back to it and it's worked fine. Maybe that would be the case with this. I did also start the new God of War Sons of Sparta. It's kind of more of a Metroidvania thing. I'm very, very early into it. There is a stream of me playing the first hour or so of it. I am intrigued with this game. I don't think it's gonna be one of my favorites. I don't think it's going to top any of the other more recent God of Wars for me. But it's a franchise and it's a world that I really like, and I like going back to Greece with this one. But yeah, Metroidvanias is something that I always really want to get into, but then when I do get into them, or when I do start playing them, I'm reminded why it's a genre of games that I don't vibe with necessarily. But that's it for the games that I've been playing this month. Movies, I watched 2 movies this month. I watched Sinners, watched that at home, and I took a cinema trip to go see Project Hail Mary. Both of them are amazing. Both of them I highly recommend to pretty much everyone. Project Hail Mary is definitely a much slower film, but I think it's 100% lives and dies by the performance of Ryan Gosling, and Ryan Gosling is great. He's great in every other thing that he's in. So, I mean, Project Hail Mary is pretty much a win. I don't usually rate things on a numerical system. However, Project Hail Mary for me, I think is like a 9.5 out of 10. My only real gripe, and it's a very personal thing for me, the voice that they ended up giving Rocky, it's a little bit annoying. It did start to grate on me a little bit towards the end of the film, but overall, I really liked it. Overall, I really liked Project Hail Mary. Sinners, we all know, absolute banger of a film. Uh, I, I mean, it's the closest thing to. I mean, every movie is a piece of art. Every movie is like a miracle that it came out. But Sinners is a piece of art. It is you were to if you were to say if you were to say give me a movie that is that you would define as art, I would give Sinners. I didn't love Sinners the same way that I loved Project Hail Mary, but I think that's mainly because horror as a concept, horror as a genre doesn't appeal to me as much as sci-fi, and even then, sci-fi isn't like my first love when it comes to films. Apart from if you count superheroes as sci-fi, which I guess you kind of do. Like dictionary definition is science fiction, superheroes are scientific fiction. So yeah, technically you would. But yeah, I'm trying my best this year to kind of go out and watch movies that I wouldn't typically go out and see. And, doing that with Project Hail Mary, I really enjoyed that film, and it makes me really want to go and read the book. It's something that I will definitely get to before the end of the year. I have very little left on my TBR of books that I actually own. I've got Mistborn Era 2, and I've got the Bloodsworn Saga waiting for me to pick them up, and I think, each book in Mistborn Era 2 is like that thin, and Bloodsworn is kind of like middle of the road in terms of like actual length. So I should be able to blitz through those relatively quickly and then get around to Project Hail Mary by midsummer. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's even that's not that's just kind of like I said midsummer, and I was reminded of the Florence Pugh movie, and there may be that kind of connection. I don't know. My brain is weird sometimes. But anyway, both movies that I watched this month were really great. I don't judge movies in a numerical rating, but if I were to attach a number to Sinners, anyone else, like if you're more of an artsy fartsy movie person, you're probably going to give that movie a 10. For a lot of people, that movie's going to have value and going to speak to them a lot more than it does speak to me. But still, musical horror is something that I think should probably happen more often. It makes horror more digestible for me. But this is a thinking man's horror movie, and it's not even necessarily that scary. And double the Michael B. Jordan, double the fun. So yeah, I really enjoyed Sinners. I give it about an 8.5, closer to a 9, maybe like an 8.9, 8.92, if we're going to be very specific. But yeah, now we're going to talk about the shows that I watched. I watched quite a bit. There are certain things that haven't finished, or I've only watched like 1 or 2 episodes of. First off, Daredevil Born Again Season 2. I only watched the first episode of this. The only episode that's out is the first episode of this. And it's more Daredevil, man. I mean, this is obviously like a 10 out of 10 for me. Obviously. More Daredevil. Daredevil all the time. If we could get an episode of Daredevil every week of the year, I would be very happy. Yeah. And then we have Invincible, came back as well. I don't know if I love Invincible as much as I liked it, as much as I loved it in the past. That first season, there's something very, like, special about that first season of Invincible, and as it's getting bigger, and as we're getting closer to a finale, and we've still got so many other things breaching out of Invincible as well. I don't know if I'm as invested in it. I don't know if I'm invested in, like, the Viltrumite War that they're kind of setting up. I don't know if I'm invested in all of these other side characters. When I really liked Invincible was when it was Mark versus Omni-Man, and that was only really one episode. I have enjoyed the series so far. I think it deserves to look a lot better. And especially with this season, I feel like the actual animation, sometimes it does breach into slideshow or Microsoft PowerPoint at times, and I really wish this show looked a lot better, because I feel like that's what's maybe taking it out more than anything else. Is like, sometimes the animation is really there. Like, when it needs to be, the animation is so good, like, during an action sequence. However, when we're in the quiet, more somber moments, we're getting more of that Microsoft PowerPoint style, and I don't know if I don't like that. The show deserves to look a whole lot better than it does. It should have A-tier animation all of the time. As of right now, I think with stuff like with like K-pop Demon Hunters and Into the Spider-Verse and stuff like the Super Mario movie as well, and with the amount of talent that is being poured into Invincible in terms of the voice cast is just insane. There should be that amount of effort that's being put into the casting of this show should be being put into making it look pretty and making it look prestige. And it shouldn't look like something spat out in 2 seconds. And maybe it's the case of having the show come out every year, or having a year between season 3 and season 4. I don't know, but it just feels like the animation is really low quality, and just the story that is being told, I don't know if I'm as into it yet and hopefully by the end of the show I do get into it, and I do get invested. As of right now, where it stands right now, I don't know if I am as much. We're then going into the shows that I did finish this month, and the first one I want to talk about is I watched a show called Gone, which is a ITV kind of murder mystery thing, and it's more kind of like the breakdown of a guy that's kind of wrongly or rightly, we're not necessarily told until right at the very end, within the last 15 minutes of the last episode, we're not told whether this guy is guilty of killing his wife or not. But it's kind of this mental gymnastics kind of show where we've got this guy who is acting very shadily, and we as an audience don't know whether he's acting this way because he's experiencing grief, or whether he's guilty of killing his wife. And outside of that, it is very much all the other kind of murder mystery tropes. But what is interesting in this show is the kind of mental deconstruction of someone who has been charged, not necessarily charged, but someone who is under investigation for the murder of their own significant other. And getting the little pieces, and like every piece of information that we're given to, or that the police are being given, or the police find to prove this man's innocence, they're also given a piece of information to prove his guilt. And kind of, it is a drip feed back and forth. It's only about 6 episodes. If you are able to watch Gone in the States or in any other country that isn't the UK, I would recommend it. I do think it's a good show, and it's definitely very interesting. We've got a rule in our household where if what's his fucking name? David David fucking, what's his fucking surname? This is going to this is going to make me look really bad, but the lead guy in this show is an actor that's been in a lot of shows that we've watched as a family, and basically this is going to really fucking annoy me because his name was in my head, but now it's just fucking gone. Like the show. But yeah. David Morrissey. That's his fucking name. If David Morrissey's in it, watch it. That is the rule that we've got. But yeah, it's a good show. It's great performances. It wholly depends on how invested you are in the like deconstruction of this character, and whether you're there for the mystery and whether you're invested. My one criticism is maybe like the actual reveal right at the end, the last second reveal, the denouement, which is a word that I've learned from Daniel Green. The denouement does come very quickly, and it does like also kind of come out of nowhere. It does kind of come out of nowhere as well. If I were to rate this on a numerical scale, which is something that I do not do, as you know, I do not do this. But if I were to do this, if I were someone to do this, I would give it about a 7, about a 6, 7. So many people have left the video now, but I would give it like a 6.5 out of 10. I enjoyed it. It's a relatively entertaining and murder mystery show, but like I said, my problems with the denouement are putting this show down a little bit, and it also has quite a lot of competition, even in like procedural cop shows, or not necessarily procedural cop shows, but like cop shows, where I watched Cross this month. Cross, I really liked the first season. Obviously, Aldous Hodge as Detective Alex Cross is great. Aldous Hodge is another person where I personally have the rule of, if he's in it, watch it. And I also, Matthew Lillard is in this. I think a lot of people now are like, if Matthew Lillard's in it, watch it. Matthew Lillard also in Daredevil Born Again. This month just seems to be Matthew Lillard's month of being in TV shows and also playing assholes. You know, we don't quite have the read on what his character's going to be in Daredevil yet, but you know, he does kind of have that like lovable asshole. He's kind of putting Wilson Fisk in his place there. And in Cross, he's essentially playing Jeffrey Epstein. So, you know, he's also played Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. This guy's got range. This guy's got range, is what I'm trying to say. But, yeah, Matthew Lillard is great in it. Aldous Hodge is always great. I really liked... And also Josh Peck is in Cross as well. So, yeah, I really liked it as well. I will say I preferred the first season. Because I think I prefer there being an actual, like, case. And there being actual, like... I prefer my cop shows to be the cop versus a serial killer. Or, like, finding a serial killer. Versus, you know... Versus this kind of, like, vigilante, this person going out and trying to kill all the people that... kill, like, these tech CEOs that are also like trafficking children. That it strikes a bit close to home at the moment with things going on in the news at the moment, and it does feel definitely... Obviously, we couldn't have obviously coming out so close to certain documents coming out incriminating certain tech CEOs and certain elite, very rich, very powerful people in the real world. You know, it does strike very close to that. And maybe that's not necessarily what I want in my entertainment at the moment. Again, everything about the show is well done, and it's done with a lot of quality. You know, the script's really good. The writing is really good. The twists and the turns that come are great, and they are shocking. And obviously the lead is extremely charismatic. And, you know, the villain is an actor that you enjoy seeing. You love to see Matthew Lillard, even if he is playing a bit of an asshole. I even think maybe after watching this and after watching Daredevil Season 2, Episode 1, maybe Matthew Lillard thrives at being an asshole. Obviously not in real life. He's a very nice guy in real life. Go watch Matthew Lillard on Last Meals, and you'll see that he's a very affable, likable guy. But you know, get him to play a child trafficker, and you know he sells it well. But yeah, I don't numerically rate shows or movies or TV shows, or movies or games or books or whatever. But if I were a man that did that, I would give this 7.5. It's really good, but it's not necessarily what I was looking for at the moment, and it does kind of mirror real life and the world outside your window. Bit too much for me to be comfortable watching it. It does kind of raise a lot of things and be like, I don't know if I'm comfortable living in the world that I'm living in with what I'm being shown on you know, through what should really be entertainment. But anyways, the last thing that I watched, or something that I watched throughout March, is One Piece. One Piece Season 2 came out, and I loved it. I'm not going to even do the joke about not being someone who rates movies on a numerical value. This is a 10 out of 10. Chopper is the greatest fictional character of all time. You know, the reason why I like One Piece Season 2 so much more than One Piece Season 1, and I loved One Piece Season 1. One Piece Season 1 made me want to read the manga, which is, you know, I'm going to talk about later on in the video. But One Piece Season 2, I think Baroque Works being a constant threat throughout the series, and then obviously your last 3 episodes giving us backstory on Chopper, and the kind of emotions that the show kind of conjures up through that, and throughout the whole series, really. I think a lot of people could look at One Piece and be like, oh, that's just the silly pirate show about a bloke who can stretch. And I think you show anyone that Chopper episode in a vacuum, because it works very well in a vacuum. I think people could really be like, yeah, this is maybe a bit more than just a silly pirate show. Maybe this is a bit more than a silly, maybe there is more. This show has more to say than that, and this show has more like emotion and heartstrings to pull on than that. And yeah, I really enjoyed One Piece season 2. What can I say? I loved it. I can't wait to get to the stuff that's in this season in the manga, because if it's done that well in live action, how well is it done in the source material? Like, if you are able to capture that much emotion in that, how much emotion are you able to capture in the source material to be able to translate it to live action that well? Because the live action is rarely ever as good as the source material. But that being the case, I'm really excited to get to those moments in the show in the manga, and that kind of teases what manga I read this month, or kind of spoils what manga I read this month. But I've also already done a video talking about One Piece volumes 1 through 3, so I was never going to be talking about that in depth anyway. But anyways, those are the shows that I watched this month, and we're already at 27 minutes. We're already at half an hour. I've got to blitz through the rest of this. I read Discovery by J.J. Minton. I'm going to do a bigger video talking about this book. I freaking loved it. Again, I don't rate books on a numerical value, but if I were to do so, I would give this a solid 9, upwards, reaching towards a 10. This is really good. This is really, really good. Catch my video tomorrow talking about this in more detail. But yeah, Discovery by J.J. Minton, so good. Such a good book, and such a good first book by the writing trio, the writing family. I also will have links down below as well to Talking Story YouTube channel. Go give them some love. They really deserve it. Massively underrated in the booktube space. They deserve all the love. Really. But moving on to the manga that I read this month. I read the first 3 volumes of One Piece, and I don't know if I love this yet. But after watching the live action, and both seasons of that, I'm determined to stick with this. What I have heard is like volume 8 is where it starts evolving from the kind of a little bit cringe of the first few volumes to being really, really good. What I maybe feel with this is maybe I'm starting to feel that more. Maybe I'm starting to feel that more like I'm maybe starting to feel more invested even by volume 3. So maybe this might get to me in the next 3 volumes even. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into this. There is not really much to talk about with the first 3 volumes. What we fight a clown and meet a liar. That's basically what happens. We're introduced to Luffy, we're introduced to Nami, we're introduced to Zoro. Zoro, who is also Zolo in this. If people can tell me when that change happens, or why he's Zorro in the live action but Solo in this, like, is the L pronounced as an R? What's going on there? Someone let me know in the comments what's going on there. But anyway, we have a huge stack, and by huge stack I mean huge stack of comics to talk about. And we're going to start off with, I read the Black Panther 60th anniversary, celebrating 60 years of Black Panther by numerous artists, Christopher Priest, Cody Ziegler. Cody Ziegler? Is it Cody Ziegler? Cody Ziegler is the wrestler, right? I'm now broken trying to remember if Cody Ziegler. Someone Ziegler is the wrestler. Cody Ziegler is the comic book writer, and no, because it's Cody Rhodes that's the wrestler, right? Anyway, Evan Narcisse, Marewa Iodele, I think, and Michael Pena. Not Michael Pena. It doesn't have the accent over the end, so it can't be Michael Pena. But there's like loads of writers and artists attached to this. It's a big celebration issue. 60 years of Black Panther, with a costume on the cover that you will not recognize unless you've been reading Black Panther in the last two. So yeah, I enjoyed this. It's not really something that can be talked about in a vacuum, because it is a celebration issue. It's just a load of short stories. But there is one story in there with Magneto in it that is really interesting, and that's kind of the one that maybe, like, I would read that book specifically just for that Magneto story. Outside of that, it's okay, it's fine. It's not worth the bumped up price of a special issue, but it is still fun. It is still, like, fine. I also got a bit caught up with Daredevil. I read issues 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. And this series by Saladin Ahmed, is not my favourite. I will say it's fine, but especially, like, if we discount these two issues 18 and 19, at the end of this kind of like 7 Deadly Sins plot line that's been going on since issue 1. First off, 19 issues for a story arc. To do one story arc that flows through 19 issues is, 1, incredibly impressive, 2, way too long. Way too long for a story arc. That, by and large, is about as deep as a puddle. That sounds really mean, but it is. Also, John Romita Jr.'s covers have been going so far downhill since issue 1, right? I mean, I was championing the covers up until about issue 8, and then they just started being really weird and really, like, low effort, and then we've got stuff like this. and we've got stuff like this. We've got stuff like this, right? Which is just not great. I mean, if you're supposed to be like selling a comic book for people to reach it on a shelf and want to pick it up, I don't know. It's not the way I would go. But then again, if I wanted to sell a comic book, I wouldn't attach John Romita Jr.'s name to it. Maybe in the mid-2000s I would have, back when his art was phenomenal. But at the moment, I mean, the guy's he's not got it anymore. And sometimes you have to realise when an artist doesn't have it anymore and put them out to pasture. Frank Miller. I also have been catching up with Doctor Strange of Asgard. I've been keeping up with the current run, which is a sequel to this, but I'm also catching up with this as well. I don't know if this is good. I don't know if I know what this really is trying to be or trying to do, and I don't know if I like the concept of putting Doctor Strange in Asgard. I feel like when it gets into the main series, that kind of makes sense because Doctor Strange is trapped. He is landlocked. He can't go back to Earth. Here we're seeing Doctor Strange flip-flop, and he's kind of gone to Earth gone to Asgard to become their Sorcerer Supreme, because Doctor Doom is the Sorcerer Supreme of Earth, and he's kind of tricked Doctor Strange into like giving away that title. And it just feels like this is more so played off as a comedy, or more so played off as like a buddy road trip thing with Doctor Strange and Loki. Been like more like a Saturday morning cartoon kind of thing, where the story could be really good if it were played straighter, if it were played more as like a typical murder mystery, which is what it's trying to be, or what it's supposed to be. But I feel like the book doesn't take itself seriously enough to be that. I've also, like I said, I have been keeping up with the current Doctor Strange run as well, and I don't hate what I'm reading. I think I'm going to get to the end of this first arc and then decide for myself whether I'm going to keep on with it or whether I'm just going to say goodbye and wait until someone else takes over Doctor Strange and he's not on Asgard anymore. But I'm not actively disliking the book. I just feel like this isn't a place where Doctor Strange necessarily belongs. I feel like Derek Landy knows that, which is why he's thrown in Angela, why he's thrown in so many other different things to kind of distract you from the fact that this kind of maybe isn't even a Doctor Strange book anymore. Maybe this is more of an Angela book, and maybe Derek Landy enjoys writing about Angela more than he enjoys writing about Doctor Strange. Maybe. And like he's got more interesting things to do with Angela than he does Doctor Strange. And kind of to my point of that is Angela is not going to be a character that's even like still that's like for the first arc and kind of goes away after issue 6. She's gonna still be a thing. She, I mean, to the point where even I'm thinking, is Doctor Strange gonna ditch Clea and shack up with Angela by the end of this run? It could happen. I mean, stranger things have happened. And I also read. This isn't the last book. I do have another. I know another thing that I caught up with as well. But I read the final issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. I read issue 24 of Ultimate Spider-Man, and This is great. I don't know. I was umming and ahhing whether to do a video on Ultimate Spider-Man as a whole, to talk about the whole series. But I don't even know if I'm going to do that, because I don't know if I have any. I don't know if I have anything different to say that hasn't already been said by anyone else. But what I will say on it now, if I'm going to say my piece on this whole series, and the Ultimate line in general, is the ultimate line is a thing that should have been treated with a whole lot more reverence than it actually was. And what I mean by that is putting Jonathan Hickman on the Ultimate universe. He should have been writing Ultimates. Getting a Jonathan Hickman-led Spider-Man book and having him stay on it from beginning to end is great. And I will forever cherish the 24 issues of Ultimate Spider-Man that do exist. And I would say I would gladly hand this, not necessarily this issue, but more than likely hand you the issue 1 of Ultimate Spider-Man. But I would happily, I think Ultimate Spider-Man now, like in the early 2000s, Ultimate Spider-Man then, is a book that I can wholeheartedly give to someone who is like, I've never read a comic book in my life. I would hand them Ultimate Spider-Man #1 and be like, there you go, get back to me with how you like it and whether you want to continue with that series or not. But it's something that can very easily and very attainably be someone's first comic book. And it's completely divorced from everything else going on in the Ultimate Universe. Maybe there's a few little Easter eggs. Maybe Iron Lad shows up and is like, hey, you've got to be part of the wider universe. Maybe Wilson Fisk is like, maybe I'm going to be a part of the wider universe. But it never breaches into any more than a wink and a nudge at the wider things. And I would say that this is infinitely for the better for it, because everything else that is happening is way too heady, way too complex, way too much, throwing everything but the kitchen sink, and even maybe the kitchen sink at people in 24 issues. And my personal opinion on the Ultimates, and I will talk about it more when it gets to the end of that. My personal opinion in the Ultimates is it's 24 issues of trying to say something and trying to have a point where I feel like you spent so much time trying to make a point that you forgot to write a comic book. You forgot to have engaging characters. You forgot to have good action sequences. You forgot to make people care about what you're trying to say. The reason why things like Watchmen, the reason why The Dark Knight Returns gets people's attention, the reason why people hide those hold those stories in such high regard is because the characters spoke to them as well as the political messaging as well. And it feels like the Ultimates is more interested in giving you a peek outside at the world outside your window through superheroes than being a fun superhero story that maybe also gives you a peek outside your window in occasion. Ultimate Spider-Man, on the other hand, is, yes, that peek outside that peek at the world outside your window, but it's also a very engaging story. It's heartfelt. The core of it is a man in his mid-30s that feels like his life isn't going anywhere. It is very much like this is a Spider-Man for millennials. and this is the Spider-Man that the core Marvel Universe should be, but editorial or whoever is scared of letting him be that. And I'm not saying that this is like dark or edgy, or this isn't your parents' Spider-Man. This is a Spider-Man that's allowed to kind of grow up. And yes, you've got those other things that kind of make it an alternate universe, where you've got like the cool designs of new Spider-Man villains, and you've kind of got the stuff of he has a family and he's in a stable marriage with a woman that loves him, and he's kind of, and you've got like the Gwen Stacy of it all, and you've got the Harry Osborn of it all, and you've got all this other stuff. And yeah, where I feel like overall the Ultimate Universe is kind of a big swing that misses entirely. I think that this is the one, like, Jonathan Hickman on Ultimate Spider-Man is the one batter that gets a strikeout. If I were to make a cricket analogy, which I know nothing about cricket, but this is the winning goal of the Ultimate Universe. This is the one penalty kick that makes it in. It's a shame about the rest of them, but this is the one that makes it in. And maybe even saying that, maybe for me, the only Ultimate book that doesn't hit the net is Ultimates, and the rest of them make it. Unfortunately, it does feel like the wider comic book zeitgeist is like, look at the Ultimates. The Ultimates is so cool. Look at what they're doing in the Ultimates. It's such a big thing. They gave the Hulk an Iron Fist. They gave the Hulk chi. They gave, look at Namor. He's up on a wall in a Nazi's house. Look at that. Look at the meanings behind that. Look at Doctor Doom. He's a good guy and he's pointing at you and you're not doing enough. I really don't like Ultimates. I don't know why I've stuck with the book, but I have, and it's not for me. It's not what I want. It feels like a speed run through the Marvel Universe, and that's not what I wanted the Ultimates to be. I just wanted it to be fun, alternate Avengers stories with alternate Avengers villains, and it just isn't interested in being that. It's more interested in being, look at how shit the world is, and, we're not going to be fun about it. We're not going to be fun. Remember what I said about we're not going to be fun? I read The World to Come. I got caught up with it. I've read issues 2 to issue 5, and this is the book that caused all that controversy about let's make a white guy Black Panther. This is that book, and do I necessarily feel like this is worth the hype or worth the discourse around that? It's difficult to say, because this book is so interesting to me, and it is a love letter to Marvel Knights, and it is like this thing of like, the Black Panther is a cool guy, right? And it's really difficult to talk about this book because there is nothing here. It's a ugly book that doesn't really have anything to say. It's not great, unfortunately, and I was one of those people that was like, I have faith in Christopher Priest, that he knows Black Panther, he knows how to tell a good comic book story. I have faith that he's going to... He's done this for a reason. And yes, we do have one issue left. And that one issue is like building up to Daredevil versus Black Panther. And that's a really cool concept. But they're both geriatric old men. And, I mean, this kind of is The Dark Knight Rises, but Black Panther. And that as a concept is kind of fun, but the way that it's being done is just so boring and just so droll and just like really uninterested in giving us any kind of anything remotely fun or interesting. And it's such a shame because I really wanted to like this, and I really wanted to be that guy that was like, the world to come is great. I do really enjoy the Punisher book. That Punisher World to Come book is great, and it is a good companion piece to this as well. And I feel like if you're reading the two together, maybe you will get more out of this. And maybe if you read Marvel Knights Black Panther back in day, you would have got more out of this as well. Where I stand on it at the moment is, this is not good. This is not great even. I feel very bad saying anything is objectively bad, but The World to Come maybe is not as prestigious as Marvel wants it to be, and I don't think it lives up to the hype that Marvel is putting around it, in my opinion. But that is just my opinion. Anyways, that is everything that I read, everything that I watched, everything that I consumed throughout the month of March. Let me know in the comments below if you have read anything that I mentioned or watched anything that I mentioned throughout this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll see you guys then. Peace!